you talked about faith last night in a way that I think is really important, because we've seen how the white supremacists have weaponized faith against Americans. And I think for a lot of people watching right now, they're asking, how can we wrestle that back? And I don't go to church, but last night, after hearing all the Bible verses, I was like, yes. I was like, get me a Bible. I'm ready to go. We have a clip, but I almost don't even want to roll the clip because I just want to hear from you. But the clip I'm thinking about is the about the fist, the fingers and the fist. That's the verse.
Yes.
Saturday, we have two different activations going on. Now, for my people of faith, I've been saying that I think we have to be strategic and different in this moment. And I've been warring with this scripture, Psalms 144:1, that says, "Blessed be my God who teaches my hands how to war and my fingers how to fight." Why am I saying that? Because there's a difference between what you can do with your fists and what you can do with your fingers. What I know is that what a fist is when we all come together, we can hit a mighty blow. But what is our individual work that we have to do right now to save this freedom?
Go ahead.
The fingers and the fists. I mean, that's where we are. We're at block and build. And I'll put another one on that. I am a person of faith and grew up as a person of faith. And also, if you're a true person of faith, then they believe that there's space for all of us, whether you believe or you don't, whether you are Muslim, whether you are Hindu, whether you are Sikh, whatever that is, that ultimately that faith is supposed to be rooted in the whole idea of joint humanity, of collective value. That's who we should be. We've always in the South made a big difference between Confederate Christianity and liberation Christianity that we believe in, Black liberatory Christianity that many of us believe in. That there is let's be clear now. It's not, we're thinking like, oh, there's this white Christianity, this white nationalist Christianity that has just come up. No, let's be mindful that the Klan was a Christian organization and they were burning crosses. Imagine that they were literally burning crosses, the most sacred symbol. They were using the most sacred symbol in Christianity to actually terrorize and kill and hurt and harm people. So there's always been what I call a demonic frame, a religious frame to capture white supremacy in such a way to actually make it seem like it's holy or something righteous. So those of us who just love human beings, those of us that just love the planet, those of us that actually love life and everything and things that are living, that is a connection right there. What you believe that's up to you and your belief. Like how you move through the world and the planet, that is up to you. There's a space for all of us, but anybody that actually is in a space that believe that they have some right, some authority, that to say that some people are less than others, then we know that there's something wrong with that. And we cannot follow that and we cannot tolerate that. So ultimately, in a moment, those of us really who are people who are faith, we see in the rich faith tradition of a liberation theology, that we should know that this is the moment that if God has given us the power of choice, who are these people to say that we don't have choice? So our faith should actually fuel us to fight in this fight, not necessarily make us move back from it. We should be leaning into our greatest choice, that those of us who actually follow the Christian faith has been given. Our greatest gift has been this power of choice. And so as being a human being is our power of choice, then everything or anybody that governs us should also at the very least respect humanity's ability to make a choice for themselves.
Yeah, I think so. And Mike, you and I have never actually talked about religion on the show before. And so I'm curious what your take is on how these white supremacists have managed to, especially how they've taken over the government and are now weaponizing it against everybody, white people included, not just Black people, everyone.
Yeah, I mean, listen, like you, I'm not particularly religious, but I grew up in a religious household. Went to church every Sunday. We were raised Catholic. My parents are still, very religious. And I went to Catholic school all the way up through my freshman year of high school. So I'm familiar with the Bible. I'm familiar with Jesus. And I understand that the Jesus that I was taught about was a compassionate and an empathetic Jesus. And what I see, so clearly, for me, it's easy to recognize in Christian nationalism, it's a political movement. It's a political movement in which they cherry pick verses from the Bible, mostly the Old Testament, and they use that to justify their racist, fascist ideology.
Yes.
And so, and it's sad to me that seems so difficult for so many other people who, like me, were raised in the church, raised, with a religious upbringing. But unfortunately, I think that a lot of people have had, leadership in their church, in their local church, that was more in tune with the political motivations behind religious teaching than they were about actually creating a culture and creating a country that is compassionate and empathetic and follows the golden rule, which pretty much everybody knows about, even if you're not religious, to treat others as you would like to be treated. And then to see it perverted. I mean, I remember listening to Charlie Kirk say that compassion and empathy were actually signs of weakness, and that Jesus didn't actually believe in compassion and empathy. And to me, it's like it's so clearly recognizable, but unfortunately for so many others, it's not. And that's why I think it's incumbent upon us, and by us I mean everyone, but also primarily white folks, to call this out, to call out what's happening right now for what it is. Use your whiteness to admit that this is racism, that
That's
what's happening with these, with gerrymandering in these southern states it's motivated by racism. It's motivated by hatred. It's motivated by something that existed. I mean, honestly, if you look at places like Tennessee and Alabama, where the state legislature, the median age or the average age is above 65, like most of those guys were still alive during busing, segregation. And so this is how they were raised. They were the same people that were out there screaming the N-word at children who were getting integrated into their school systems. They were the same ones giving interviews with local reporters saying that, this is an abomination that we would have to go to school with these, animals. And so this is, there's that great clip that you sent to me last night, Maya. This is the last dying breath of the Confederacy.
And this is it. This is Custer's last stand.
What I would like to do, LaTosha, is while they are gasping that last breath, I would like to stand over them with a pillow and push that pillow down on their face to quicken the death cycle.
You know what the good news is, Mike? This is the good news. The good news, Michael, is if we crowd the room and take the oxygen, they will take care of themselves. What I believe is, and so we don't even have to touch them. We don't have to hurt them. We don't have to harm them. That doesn't even have to be the spirit. It is enough of us that we can drown out the noise. There is enough of us that Jim Crow can't come after all of us. There is enough of us that we can actually create and shape this nation exactly what we need to be. And I believe that from my heart. It doesn't take us having to do anything to them. Quite frankly, they're doing it to each other.